So my name is Thaddeus, and it's been a pretty weird name to grow up with. A lot of people say, that's a great name, why would you say that? It's unique, it's dynamic, it's a strong name, right? And I never really got, what a strong name means. What exactly is that? Is there a hospital looking for a surgeon, and they're reading through the names, and, they're sort of looking at the resumes? That's CVs here for you guys. But they're reading through it, and they're like, this guy's got 20 years experience, he's never lost a patient. His name is John Smith. You can't let him operate anyway. That's a weak name. Get out of here. And, I'm American, so our president is Barack Obama, and there's a question whether he was elected for his policies or because he was black, or if it's just his name, were people just in the ballot booth just reading through the names, just this is boring, 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 I hate democracy. Oh, Barack Obama, oh man, go for that. So my mom, actually, she hates when I joke about this because really she's like, I gave you this name because it's important to me. Your great uncle had the name, he was a very accomplished man. It's a name from the Bible. One of Jesus' closest disciples had that name. And I'm like, Mom, I understand that makes sense. But did you think 20 years later, where I was going to a bar and I had to introduce myself, how terrible this name is? And and I'm just like, Mom, I go to a bar and, people are talking, there's loud music, and, I'm just like, I walk up and someone's like, oh, hey, I'm Andrew. And I'm like, oh, hey, I'm Thaddeus. And I'm like, what? Daniel? No, Thaddeus. What? Darius? No, Thaddeus. Daddy? No, he didn't even name himself Daddy. Why would I come to you and call myself Daddy? Whatever. So, it's interesting because there's someone in my family who really likes my name, and he really likes his name as well. And he is my twin brother, actually. And his name, you would think, is a very, cool name like Daniel or something. But his name's Hannibal, so it's Hannibal and Thaddeus. My mom that's it's a joke, maybe it's funny, but also it's true because his name is literally Hannibal and I'm Thaddeus. But it's weird, it took me a long time to really get used to the name and really like the name, and he liked the name from the beginning. But, God bless my mom, she raised us by herself, not by ourselves, that'd be weird. She raised us by herself in Brooklyn, and, this is like Brooklyn in the 1990s, which is very different from, Brooklyn today. Some of you may have gone to Brooklyn, very nice place, nice beaches or whatever. But it was a rough and tumble Brooklyn growing up, and, so she tried to find ways of getting us, out of an element where there was so many bad things going on. So where I grew up, I have a bunch of friends who are either in prison or some of them are dead. She really wanted to keep us away from that. So she put us in science programs. We did chess clubs till I was about 20. And we also went to space camp. So I spent 2 summers in space camp, and when you're growing up in Brooklyn and you're a black kid, space camp is not the most gangsterist of things to say. So I 2 summers I went away and I didn't tell my friends, I just went, and so I come back, my friends are like, where have you been? We've been looking for you all summer, and I'm like, oh dog, don't worry, I was at space camp. Don't worry about that. It was so gangster. We were mapping constellations and checking out solar spots. And why would you do that? And the thing I realized is that there's not much street cred in going to space camp. So so that was really interesting. But I guess sort of growing up, and I appreciate all she did for me, and it really set me in a mindset where I realized that there were things I wanted to do in my life. So when I was 20, I got my passport, and I traveled for the first time. And most Americans don't travel at all. They don't have their passports. And I was like, okay, I want to really break the mold here, do something different. And so I went to China, and that was, true story, the first country I ever went to. And it was an eye-opening experience because this was China in 2007, so before anyone had really of my skin color had been there. And I was the 5th person, and they just I'd be walking down the street, and someone would be on their phone or talking to a friend, and they would look up, and they'd be like, oh my God! Who's that walking down the street? And it was really just sort of weird. And it was an interesting place to go, and I think it really set my life in perspective in a way, because I was like, I'm both a god and a clown here. So I can really get used to it. So, I mean, that's pretty much my time. I like rambling on, but I'll call it short. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great night.